next guest needs no introduction, but here he is, not only a 3-time Pro Bowl wide receiver, but an Emmy award-winning, I believe 17 Emmys is a lot, Cris. 17, where do you put them?
Around. Just around.
There's one in all those drawers back there. We, of course, are excited to see you.
Is this the worst set you have of anybody? I mean, this is so pathetic. So I'm just going to get up for a minute and do this. All right. So back in the day when I first started doing this thing, you had to get the tapes to watch the game. So these drawers, like this is the Eagles and this is the Redskins and this is the Lions. And it looked like you store like body parts in there, right? And now it's like, it's ridiculous looking. And my wife tells me, you got to fix the thing up. You look so unprofessional. The lighting is terrible. The lighting of the door is better than the lighting of me at this point. And I'm trying to, do something, but it glows in the dark where I don't want it to glow in the dark now. So I'm just going to do the interview like this.
I wasn't ready for a Collinsworth breakdown of your surroundings, but I'm here for it, and I love it. I feel like the next interview, I just want to talk to your wife, because we always end up talking about her, and I just feel like she's the real star of the family. You and Jack can scram.
I'm just telling, if she would do it. Now, she does not like to do it. She does not want to do but she would like you. She would enjoy it. Because you're sort of the queen of the Queen City. No, that's not true. The princess of the Queen City. You're too young to be the queen.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Cris. I'm also doing the show like this, covering all sorts of things over here on this end. Tell me about your summer vacation, because you're saying that you have bad lighting, but that is a tan, and you're just lying to me. So
yeah, I'm doing all right. Down in Florida, we just got back and got to hang out on the beach down there a little bit, but mostly now just chasing I got grandkids now, so that's like you take them to like the water parks and the slides, and so they try to kill you in every way possible. You're on ropes and down these slides, and and then you gotta run because you can't let them out of your sight. So then, I mean, it's like you got to go chase them back up the thing. And we went 400 times down to the end of the water. So that's how I got tan.
That is your summer vacation. And I don't think anybody has a better life than you. I really don't.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I've got 2 more grandbabies on the way. So a grand total of 5. My one daughter will have 4 that lives in Orlando. And my other daughter who's here is pregnant for the first time. And so we're pumped.
So they'll be.
Maybe Ashley's gonna have a baby too. So.
Wow! Congratulations, Grandpa. Absolutely, I love that. Big love to you and the family. And by 2028 LA Olympics, you'll have a full flag football team. It sounds like, of grandkids.
That's right, and I'm bringing Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase with me, and I'm gonna coach them up. That'll be good.
I
heard they wanted to play. That's great. I didn't know they would want to play. I think that's cool. Although, if you ever watch flag football. It's legit. It's like a different sport. I don't know that NFL players are going to be able to just come right off the field and go win at flag football. I mean, they have plays. They have crazy plays. They throw it up in the air and they tip the ball from one guy to the other. And it's a little bit of a different sport. It'll be interesting to see if they just can sort of roll the ball out there and do great.
Is there a position that you think translates better than others? Like, I'm curious about that, with what that would look like as far as the rule changes. Like, what sort of NFL player would make a great flag football player?
Well, the Tyreek Hills, the quick guys, I think, are the ones that are going to be able to do it. But, there's nothing wrong with putting LeBron James out there and throwing the ball up high and letting him go get one, too. So I think it's going to be really exciting, though. And I do not think it's a layup because of the uniqueness of the sport. I think somebody could put together a team that has just phenomenal athletes and they do these weird plays. Now, the NFL guys should be able to win if they actually want to play in the thing. But It's intriguing to me. I would love to be the announcers for that.
I was about to ask. Listen, you haven't worked in Olympics.
I never brought it up before. I would love to do that.
I just looked. I said, "Oh, I wonder if he's going to Paris to work." You're not. You're just like the one NBC employee that doesn't have to work the Olympics 2028. You better get your butt to LA to be calling flag football.
Yeah, but I've got a tough assignment. I have to babysit Al Michaels and Bob Costas at the Olympics. So, yeah, they're bringing them back. They brought back AI Al. Did you hear about all that?
Tell me.
So Al is doing for the Olympics an AI version of himself, where they do the highlights the following morning, and Al is voicing it, but Al's not voicing it. It's AI Al. So and I go, you are a genius. I've never seen anybody smarter than you. He's going to get paid so much money to have his voice on the Olympics when doing zero work. He will be doing as little as I'm doing and not getting paid, and he'll be getting paid. The man is an utter genius, but he does have one of his billionaire friends that we get to go on his yacht because we're going to go to Italy afterwards and go hang out down there because I got to work in my tan a little bit. And so he's got a billionaire guy down there. We get to go hang on the yacht.
Okay, well, I'd like to be invited to that. Thank you very much. And while you guys are gone, I'd like to use your private plane to go to my training camp tour. Thank you. I'm glad we figured that all out. AI Al, how soon is it until you lobby for that in your deal so you can make more trips to Italy? That sounds pretty good. AI Cris is pretty cool.
Coming to a show near you on PFF is all I'll say on that one.
Whoa! What?
Yes. Just I saw my first. Have you heard your voice in AI yet? Have you?
No, I'm not interested at all. I want to go live in Jackson Hole and not deal with any of these AI things. Chat GPT, none of it. I don't know. I haven't. Why? Is it different?
No, it's unbelievable. So all you have to do is have somebody write out. We'll do this for you. PFF will do this for you. Okay, great. So we do all these game scripts and storylines and all these things about the thing, and do it in your voice, right?
Yeah.
And you just stay home. So they just put a picture of you up there, and you stay home, and you got a whole show, and it sounds just like you. If you haven't heard it yet, you got to do it. You got they did a thing of me doing like PFF highlights and in my voice, and you sit there and you go, you can't even believe it. I mean, it's not like taped. It's not any part of your voice. It's like they put old audio tapes of your voice in a machine, and then comes out it's you. Like all the different all the different stutters and starts and stops and all the different, exactly how I talk. It's unbelievable. Wait till you hear Al Michaels do it. You'll think it's Al, and he'll be sitting in the swimming venue with me cheering on our USA. So
I'm worried about what will happen to the shoe industry if we all just, work from home and you're just barefoot for the rest of your life, because you don't have to go to work. What will happen, Cris?
Oh, when I stood up, oh gosh, I didn't think about that. I'm like one of those guys doing the nightly news in their underwear kind of thing, I'm sitting there. It's not good.
Wait, so is there a world where we hear AI Cris and AI Al calling football games again?
I doubt that. But I do think that you're going to begin to see, because right now you've got all these people who don't want their voice stolen, right? Singers, comedians, entertainers. Like, no, you can't use my voice. That's how I make my living. You can't do it. And then somebody like Al Michaels is going to come along and go, you're going to pay me? Okay. You can use my voice, no problem. And I was talking to Al about it, and it was like, he goes, it is about 98.7% me when I listen to it. There's always a couple little things in there that you can do it, but it's a strange new world out there.
Slippery slope. I don't know about that. And I don't think Tom Brady's using any AI. So while you and Al and Bob are swimming in steak frites and steak tartare at the Paris Olympics, doing no work, and some of you getting paid for it, hanging out with billionaires. Tom Brady also hanging out with billionaires, but also preparing to be in the booth. What is your advice? Has he called you? How insane and intense do you think he's being?
As insane and intense as he always is. And yes, he calls.
What does he ask?
He should have asked me about the roast. I'd have said, stay away from it. What are you doing, man? What is that all about? Holy cow. I mean, I can only watch that in like 30-minute segments. I'm like, oh my gosh, he got bombarded. No, Tom's a great guy. He's going to be great. I mean, our whole life, we've been trying to anticipate what Tom Brady was thinking when he came to the line of scrimmage and got ready. Now we're going to hear it, right? And he's studying hard. He's working on it. He's done 1,000 different, practice games. And I was like, Tom, just be you. People know who you are. Just be you. Go on there and talk about football and have some fun, and he'll be great.
You're making it sound easy, Cris. What you do is not easy.
Well, I mean, for Tom Brady, it is, who is like, I'll say this. John McEnroe, when he started doing, John McEnroe is one of my favorite announcers, period, of any sport, of anything. Because you knew going into it, you were going to get complete and utter honesty, right? You knew because John played the game that way. He screamed at the referees. He screamed at the fans. You were going to get whatever he thought. And that's all any of us can give you, right? I think the danger in any announcer is when the audience knows that they're pulling punches, right? They're protecting somebody. They don't want to hurt a friend. They don't want to say something that's going to be offensive. And it's not completely and utterly what they really believe. What they really are thinking if they were sitting on the couch with a couple of friends and what they would say. It's something different than that. And as long as Tom can break through that barrier, and just really say, doesn't have to be right. I tell people all the time, I'm not always right. I go, don't expect that I got to be right, but you're going to hear what I'm thinking. If you were sitting next to me at a ball game or sitting on the couch watching a game with me, you're going to hear what I was thinking in that moment. And that's all you can ask out of anybody. And you get somebody as knowledgeable as Tom, who's been as successful as he's been, it's going to be great.
When you started, if you could take yourself back to the Cris Collinsworth that was green and getting reps and all of that, what was the one hardest part for you? Whether if it was like a small little thing or a timing thing, what was the most difficult thing?
That I sucked doing it. It was impossible. So this is a true story. The first game I ever did was in Cleveland. And so I'm up there, and David Michaels is the producer, Al Michaels' brother, who's a great producer. And so he comes in and he knocks on my hotel room door and he goes, how you doing? And I said, okay, I'm just trying to get the names together. So I've got one of those like manila envelopes. Is that right? Where you just fold it open?
A file.
I wrote that's what I got. So I wrote the offensive names on the top of it and the defensive names on the bottom. And I flipped it over, offensive names on the top and the defensive names. And he looks at it and he goes, what's this? And I said, well, this one I'm going to use in the game to call the game. He goes, oh my God. He makes some guttural sound that I thought he was going to puke all over the desk. And he goes, oh, God, I can't believe they gave me another rookie to do this with. And he's just growling. And he calls Bradshaw, who he had worked with.
Oh, wow.
And Bradshaw had these big, magnificent boards and spaced out and be able to do all these different things. And he wrote the names. And so he FedExed some to me. And so I got to use Terry Bradshaw. And I did it for the first 3 or 4 years that I was doing the games. But it all happens so fast. I mean, when you are calling a game, so the play-by-play guy, Mike Tirico, calls the play. And so then he finishes up. And so while he's finishing up the play, I will call down to Rob Hyland on the talkback and tell him what I see or what I would talk about. And then Rob has the choice of either putting something really cool that he saw on the screen, and then he's got to tell me what that is, or he's going to put up what I saw, and then I get a chance to talk about that. And you've got about 3 seconds to communicate it and about 10 seconds to say whatever you want to say, right? And at the same time, Mike may still be talking, and sometimes he will ask me a question or say something to me, but I've got the button down so I can't hear what he's saying, and I'm talking to Rob and being able to. So that part of it's the mechanical part of it is really hard if you haven't done that before. And so that's the trick to the whole thing is, not what does Tom Brady or Cris Collinsworth know, it's how quickly can it get communicated from me to him and listen to him and get the replay up and get it back on and somehow try and circle the right guy without messing up. And then you got to, if you don't have the numbers memorized, right? Now you got to look at boards to figure out what the number was and who made the tackle and what was his name again. And, so it's easy to screw it up. I'll just say that. It's easy to screw it up.
With how fast it goes, and it's good advice, and we'll post this. Tom will see it, I'm sure, and he'll call you in 5 minutes to discuss in 18 different ways with 19 different questions. How annoyed do you get? Like, how pissed do you get at the McVays of the world, these maniacs going no huddle all the time?
It makes it harder. It does make it harder. And it really turns it into a little bit more of a hockey game. You know how, do you watch hockey? I don't know if you watch hockey. Game 7 of the hockey was one of the last best 7 minutes I've ever seen. It was unbelievable. And I don't watch that much hockey, but in the little bit I do, I love that one. But you know how the play-by-play announcer really kind of controls it, and then there's a little break in the action and the color guy jumps in?
Right.
So when they get in the 2-minute offense or they get to the hurry up, there's not, so it's like, Mike, and then you jump in and do something. And then, and there's an incomplete pass or there's something like that. But yeah, it's when you go up and Peyton Manning was running a game and he was doing, I was like, oh, this is like getting a night off tonight, man. Peyton Manning's never going to take a break the whole game off.
That's amazing. Okay, I want to ask you about some NFL topics here. We've covered hockey, we've covered water slides. Let's talk about, you were coming on and I said, as a man who tries to keep the same denim jeans in rotation from 30 years ago, we have to ask Cris about the Joe Burrow fashion. What did you make of Joe Burrow's appearance at Paris Fashion Week?
I mean, look at him. The man has no back to his suit. Now that is, but he's a good-looking guy, right? I mean, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, those are good-looking guys. So when you're a good-looking guy, you walk down the street and people go, oh, that's really fashionable. That's really cool. If I walk down the street with that look right there, they'd put me in a home somewhere. There's certain people, you got to have, you could pull that off. You could go to a fashion show and your sense of fashion and, and people would go, wow, Kay is really cool. Look
Why
at that.
Why not you?
That is because it doesn't, it never has. Look, that's why. Look at the hair. Is that hair pathetic? So that was my one moment with a perm. Not kidding you. I have had the straightest hair my entire life. And at one point, a buddy of mine, Turk Schonert, who was our backup quarterback, got a perm.
Okay.
Because he was sort of thinning out too. And so he got a perm and he goes, Cris, it's unbelievable. You wake up, you take a shower, you don't have to use a blow dryer, you just shake your head and you're fully dressed and you're ready to go out. I'm like, really? Oh, that sounds like a great idea. I'm going to do that. So I got a perm. And that's my perm right there. But I made a mistake. I did a commercial while I had the perm, and the commercial, it's a bank commercial. It has lived forever. It has just lived forever. And my family brings it up at the least opportune times all the time. So it's not good.
I mean, that will live on in infamy, as will Joe Burrow's shirtless suit. Joe Burrow's everywhere. All of a sudden, this usual quiet character, at least as we know him in the NFL in front of the cameras. He's really doing a lot of marketing. He's doing a bit of a media tour here. And he was saying yesterday that he's forgotten. He's been forgotten by NFL fans after the year that he had filled with injuries. And then is going to give everyone something to talk about this season. What do you make of that?
Good. I want him as mad as possible. I want him irritated. I want him upset that people don't respect the Cincinnati Bengals and don't respect him and then go get him. I mean, Joe Burrow, when he's right, the Cincinnati Bengals can play with anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they give the Kansas City Chiefs as many problems as any team in the league. But it's the clock is ticking. You know, they're already starting to unravel that team a little bit because, you know, they have to pay Joe and they have to pay Jamar and they're going to have to, you know, so there are going to be some people that have to go. Joe Mixon had to go this year. You know, they have to save some money on some different things. So, but when that guy is right, he is really fun to watch. And I can't wait to watch the Cincinnati Bengals. Their problem is they got to try and slug their way out of that division.
Yeah.
I mean, that division, they finished last and they had a winning record last year, you know, and Joe Burrow missed whatever it was, 6 or 7 games at the end of the year. So, you know, it's going to be good.
It's a tough division. He missed a ton of games. You keep saying when he's out there, how worried are you about his durability?
I'm really not. I think that he's had some bad luck. He had an appendectomy one year. He had the knee injury. He's got the elbow thing now. And they've done the right thing by going out and getting more help on that offensive line. Trent Brown, Orlando Brown. You know, if they could really shore up the outside edges, he does a pretty good job of getting the thing out of his hands. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, exactly what they're able to pull off here. This Amarius Mims, who they signed and drafted, is there just isn't a bigger human being on earth than some of the guys they have playing tackle for the Bengals right now. So, yeah, I'm hopeful. That they end up having a good year, despite the fact that everybody in Cincinnati thinks I hate the Bengals. But
I know I'm always trying to help you out with that as the princess. You know, I'm always trying to come on, let's get. And you're saying you're not worried about the durability. You think that they'll be a force if he's out there and if he's healthy. But the way you're talking about it, do you feel like this is the window? Is it this year and then the wheels come off a bit? I guess I'm trying to get your focus on how important and pivotal this season is.
Well, you know, it just makes draft picks all that much more important. You know, if you have a great quarterback, that's the quickest path to being a Super Bowl contender. So let's not argue with the fact that Joe's making $50 million or whatever it is, and Jamar's going to make 30 to 40 million, whatever he's going to make. Because you got to have those guys, you got to have those players on your team. But when you do that, now you're back to really significance with the rest of the team. You have to have young players that can fill in the gap and play right away. You know, they lost some people in the secondary, lost their 2 safeties a year ago, and it hurt them. You know, and now they bring back Von Bell and they bring over Geno Stone, who had the big year with Baltimore and a lot of interceptions. And so those guys and these young cornerbacks have got to play. You know, they've got to get in there. Cam Taylor, Brits of the world have got to end up having big years. And then when they get to where they're going to get paid $15 million, $20 million, then you have to make another decision about how do you go young again. It's an interesting mathematical equation, figuring out how to put together a football team.
Yeah, and speaking of math equations, Burrow took it on in part of his media tour, and he was talking about the proposal for a potential 18-game season, which affects you, of course, and your hobnobbing and gallivanting and water sliding across the great water parks in Florida. Basically Burrow said that, he'd like 2 bye weeks. Pro Bowl moved to the middle of the season around week 13. 18 games is a real thing that I'm sure you know that they're talking about. Could that format work? Your thoughts?
It was a really interesting comment. I'm assuming, like everybody else, eventually we do get to 18 games. I wouldn't mind if they tried it to begin with. Like, let's say that we're in 17 game season, and obviously the season's already played out. But I have always loved the idea of an all-star break in the middle of the year. Like, I really think that would be, or whatever they may want to call it. But basically, the entire league is off. That we just take a week away. You play half the games, or you can't play half anymore, but you play sort of half the games. And then you get a chance to sit back, sort of evaluate that, let the guys get healthy, and then they make another run. To me, there's such an advantage or disadvantage as to where they place the bye week. And, if you get it late in the year versus you get it early in the year, and the whole, I personally, I would love to see an all-star break right in the middle of the season. Everybody gets the same amount of time off. We come back, you're playing a full schedule of games. There's nothing better than on Sunday morning sitting around watching, whatever your favorite version of DirecTV, Sunday Ticket, YouTube now, and that whole thing. So it's really fun for me to see the entire league playing. And plus the schedule gets so thinned out to where in the star teams, the best teams get thinned out to where all the prime time spots that they want to fill don't always have prime time games when they're carving out games. So there's my mini complaint there for your show.
I have one last one for you. J.J. Watt, he's been out of the league for a bit now. There were rumors of a comeback. I talked to Nick Caserio about it. He didn't shut it down. They said it was between him and D'Amico. Then we get this photo yesterday. Does this look like a man who's going to come back? Is this a comeback training tour he's doing?
Does that look any different than the picture you put up of me with the firm?
Mirror images.
Good golly. Maybe he's going to run for governor of California here. He's got a little of that Schwarzenegger look going right now. So, JJ, God bless him. I think he can do anything he wants to do. Look at that.
Maybe he'll come back.
There we go. Who wore it better? That's it.
I would say you did.
I saw you do that. I saw you do a Who Wore It Better with Vince Wilfork.
Yeah.
I can't believe that took a lot of guts because Vince is strong in those overalls. That was good.
It took a lot of guts for you to have permed hair back in whatever year that was. And those socks are back, though. That fit works. Joe Burrow wishes he could pull off that look.
Is that really in style again?
I think so. Yeah, you're like a tall athlete. Like you could wear. Like what are you? Like, the self-deprecation at some point has to end. Like, what are we talking about, Chris?
I tall size. That was really nerdy at one time. When I was doing it, it was not a good look. It was not good.
You're the best. Enjoy Paris. Enjoy the steak frites. Enjoy the escargot, whatever you're going to do there at whatever brasserie in the afternoon with you and AI Al, as I've learned. Very excited about everything going on with NBC. You've got a big game, of course, kicking off with Sunday Night Football we are excited about. So on that, I think we'll let you go polish your Emmys.
Okay, it's always a pleasure.
Cris Collinsworth over at PFF, where there's some weird AI Chris thing happening, guys. Not to mention all the amazing info over there. Thank you so much from PFF fame.